Hello everyone, Ogre27 Kane here today, and I think I want to do a review of Celeste for the Nintendo Switch. Let's do a real quick overview, find out what this game is all about. Well, first up, I want to mention this game is more of an action platformer than anything else. I know some people might consider it a Metroidvania, but I really don't. I think this has a lot more just simplistic elements, and there's not really any backtracking other than the fact that you have a menu screen to replay certain episodes. On top of that, there's no real upgrade system, and there's not really anything in terms of big exploration. Most of it is just simple mechanics and getting through an area and finding the secret. Now, don't let that simplicity fool you though. It's absolutely addicting, and this game has some really fun and fast-paced moments. Some of my favorite and most challenging moments I've experienced in the last few years in a video game have come from this game. So, I think we should get into it now and really discuss the great parts. Let's start with the gameplay first. Well, the gameplay in this is pretty darn fun. It's an action platformer, but it has a heavy emphasis on the story as well. Most of the events that you're going through, most of the timed events and hurry-up moments and all the stress is created from the story itself. But those events are fun, and it adds a little bit of challenge and a little pizzazz to a otherwise simplistic gameplay formula. I love the fact that this game is so simple, because if they tried to complicate it with any more, it would probably ruin it. This game is more based on timing and knowing and learning about something than it is just trying to guess your way through it and button mash. Definitely not a button mashing game. If you struggle with these kind of games, there are different difficulty options, and they're well used for me, I'll tell you that much, until you figure out an area, and then you can go back and replace that with a higher difficulty and a higher challenge. Get all the strawberries in the area, get the tapes, get the crystal hearts. Now, as I briefly mentioned, the story is actually really interwoven with the gameplay on this. You'll find yourself traversing and platforming through an area as you're pulling together different elements of the story, figuring out what's going on, helping out certain characters, doing other things around the game. Everything is based around the platforming and the gameplay itself, but all the other elements that they included with it are very well done, and I really like every aspect of this game. It's not terribly long, so it should only take you about 10 to 12 hours to do most everything. Let's hit the story now. The story in this starts out, sees a young girl named Madeline who chooses to climb a mountain, Mount Celeste. As you begin to climb this mountain, you realize that this is not just a physical journey, but this is a mental and emotional journey for this girl as well. There are a lot of demons that she needs to confront along her way, and a lot of things that try to hold her back and stop her progress. There are certain characters that offer a lot of help and guidance and inspiration along the journey, and there are certain characters whose simple goal is to make you stop and second guess everything you're doing. Not only does this mess with you psychologically in the game, but it also messes with you outside of the game too. There were several times where I felt like just giving up on the game because I felt like some of the characters were just downright awful. Now, I realize that this was kind of part of the psychological battle this game puts you through, and it makes you realize that it's just a game at the end of the day, but I love the fact that the story was so well written and kept me emotionally invested to the point that I was downright angry with the actions of certain characters in this game. Now, that's not to say that this story is perfect by any way, shape, or form, but it certainly did a good enough job keeping me invested in what was going on, to the point that I actually wanted to see Celeste's adventure through to the end, and I wanted to see her character grow and fight through all of these issues she had. It's a pretty fun and unique game, and I really enjoyed the story, so let's do the graphics and animations now. Well, as you can imagine, the graphics are pretty simplistic in this. It is definitely a pixel art, but it has a very solid frame rate and very, very smooth animations and aspects to it. If you make a mistake or there's something going on, it's most of the time your fault in this game. It's very much like Dead Cells, where they've spent a lot of time in the actions and the maneuvers of the character themselves to give you the most control possible. A lot of the things they're asking you to do in this game are extremely difficult and require some very quick timing and fast reactions. Because of this, if the control scheme were to fail in any way, shape, or form, you would give up on this. And thankfully, they did not have this issue. All of the graphics and animations, in my opinion, stand up and are true to what they expect them to be and what they were trying to be. And on top of that, you can kind of see right here where it started from and what they were really working with and where it went to and what it's become. It's absolutely fantastic to see the amount of work they put into it. Now, I can also completely understand why this would be a huge turnoff for a lot of people, because the art style is so simplistic and it's really not the most beautiful game even on the Switch itself. But I will say that the art does its job, and considering what they're trying to do with it and how fast-paced the game is trying to be, a lot of the animation stands out to me, and as you can see in every room, everything has its own shadowing and its own movement. So I'm pretty impressed with what they did. So next up, we got controls and audio. Well, let's start out first with the controls. And the controls are very good in this game. They're very tight, and they spend a lot of time with them. One aspect that can be very frustrating and difficult is this game does require you to pretty much use a D-pad. The analog is almost out the window, and the movements are so precise that I found myself doing the wrong movements several times. The Switch Pro controller is definitely the best option to play this game. The Joy-Cons don't have a very good D-pad, and they're not the best for this kind of setup, but they will work. I did manage to get through a good portion of the game with the Joy-Cons. That being said, I highly recommend the Pro controller. Next up, let's talk about some audio. And the audio in this game is really good. I love the music, I love the sound effects. The only issue I have is the characters talking can be kind of annoying. It's almost like a chibi bumbling, rumbling, But the music itself while the game is playing is absolutely fantastic, and when you're playing in a really high, intense moment, the game matches you, and the game puts forth its best effort to keep you involved. I'll show you some of the music here at the very end of the video if you stay with me, but it's definitely one of the high points of this game, and sometimes there are points where I wish I could just sit back and listen to it. With that being said though, they did a fantastic job mixing it all together, and it kept me invested. Let's do the conclusion now. Well, in conclusion, I originally bought this game from Limited Run, and I absolutely loved it. I had a financial issue and I had to get rid of it because the game was very valuable at the time, and it really helped me out in a time of need. I missed it and I really wanted it back. Thankfully, we got a new print run from it. And I'm absolutely in love because I was able to pick this game up and play it through again and get so much out of it that I didn't get out of it the first time. I will continue to play this game over and over, and I will continue to get better times, better scores, and lower my death count. This is one of those games that will probably stay in my library for a long time, and I highly recommend it to everybody. The only thing I'll tell you is if you're not good at quick reaction, fast acting platformer games, then this is probably not the game for you. This game is very complicated and it does require a lot of skill in terms of your movement. I believe this re-release was given to us from Fangamer, the same ones that gave us the physical version of Hollow Knight. So, huge shout out to them and a major thank you because they gave me something that I really wanted to enjoy again, and definitely a physical copy of it too. On top of that, the physical copy comes with some really cool goodies, including a full color manual and a nice poster. So, I really like this when they give us goodies like this, and this is actually a better version in my opinion than the Limited Run one. I know it's probably controversial, but it's still great to see that they're reprinting games that have become really hard for us to find and giving everybody an opportunity to enjoy something like this. Not only that, but to preserve it as well. So thank you for watching today's video. It was a blast to make. I upload every single Monday. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe. And have yourself a great rest of your day. This is Ogre27 Kane, signing out.